Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Let's get this locked in. We've got audio input, and that's fine. Cool. Hey, everybody. Playing with the levels as we do. I'm gonna do something a bit cozier today. Do something, I think, holiday themed to some degree. And we're going to start by prompting ideogram for some Christmas imagery. And I know it's not Christmas quite yet, but that never stopped Michaels from selling Christmas decor 10 months ahead of time, now has it? So he's going to do that, and he's going to see what we get. And we's going to open up a new workflow as well. It's good to see you too, Chris Gazarian. And I think what I'd like to do today, as I have in recent days, is make my own workflow from scratch. Because the more times I do it, the better I get at it. And it's just a lot of fun. So we're going to start with our checkpoint. And I'm going to make this an animation workflow. So we're going to go with an LCM. And let's have some fun. Let's bring the K-sampler over. Do some conditioning. Positive and negative. Like so. And we're going to need a latent image as usual. Going to set it to about 512 by 512. It's not too bad, I think. 60 frames in total. And we're going to need our decode VAE. Plug that into load checkpoint, and then we'll need a preview in the form of video combined. So we'll plug that right on in. It's going to be H.264 instead of a GIF. We don't want a GIF. At least I don't. And then we're also going to need to add animate diff. So let's do that. Let's move some stuff around. We'll kind of cluster together our load checkpoint, latent image, and conditioning all over in the corner here. Group them up. Group these up. And now we have some room where we can insert our animate diff stack. Hey Bruce Lee, how's it going? I'm afraid I can't understand what you're saying. So for animate diff, we're going to start with evolved sampling as the top level node through which our model will be plugged through. So we got model, I think that's right. Let's find out. And then for M models, we'll need, I believe, this one right here. So yes, motion model, animate diff model, motion LoRa, which is optional, motion strength, which we'll leave at 1. And lastly, we're going to need our context options for the looping functionality specifically. This will allow us to loop our animation in a very clean and seamless way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's basically the stack of animate diff. And I'm going to be pretty quick and dirty here. I'm not going to label it too many things. I'm not going to color code. Not really. Although I think I will color code the conditioning for my own sanity. So positive will be green, negative will be red. And I think we're more or less in a place to animate. So let's actually set this to square linear. And I think we're looking pretty good. Let's trigger our motion LoRa with a zoom in phrase. I knew it was complicated to make that crazy triplet stuff, but damn, this is Sheldon Cooper level stuff. I like that. I like that comparison. I mean, kinda. He's an endearing enough character. I just hope I don't sound too much like him. Not in my natural state. But in any event, let's try out just a basic animation. A falling... No, let's do a winter wonderland. Kind of stuck on that today for some odd reason. Let's cue prompt. Actually, before we do, let's set this up on the LCM as an LCM animation. So we're going to need 12 steps. We're going to need about 2 CFG. Sampler will be LCM. Schedule SGM. We looking good? We looking good? We are looking good. Let's go for it. Feeling Christmassy, yes. Yes, I am. I don't know why. It's just one of them days. Nice. Let's see where we're at with Ideogram. Very, very cute, you guys. Very cute. I think I'll animate these momentarily, but in order to do that, we're going to need an IP adapter so that the AI is given eyes to see with. So let's do that. Let's start by adding a unified loader, IP adapter unified loader. This is going to live on the conditioning chain of command. So, no, I'm sorry, the modeling chain of command. So take our model noodle right here, plug it right on into the IP unified loader, and then that's going to go into a another IP adapter right here, and then finally that'll go right back into KSampler. All right, what do we have here for our animation? Pretty cool. Not a bad start. Not where I want to be, but it's something. It's also a really low frame rate, which we do not want. So for the future, we're going to set it to 12. And let us begin inserting our actual images from which to animate. So load image. We'll take this beautiful display, paste it right on in. Actually, before we do, we're going to want to resize it. Prep it for the actual clip vision part of the process so that it's the right size and orientation, things like that. So we'll do upscale image, 512 by 512, and we will crop it from the center and do a bilinear upscale, which is a pretty balanced approach. Plug that onto the input and then the output into the IP. And now I think, in fact, I'll collapse that because we don't really want to bloat up the workflow too bad. I think we're in a good place now to at least start animating this. Let's test my theory, see if I'm right. So cue prompt. No, we're not. That's right, we need the IP adapter plugged in. There we go. And let's also set the strength to high strength because I want that image to really shine through. And let's see what we get. Santa hat? Yes, I will absolutely wear maybe a digital Santa hat. Maybe I'll use one of my magical softwares to edit my face and head. Maybe I can throw on a Santa hat that way because I ain't going out and buying one. I spent way too much time on your page the other night after eating an edible. That's what I like to hear. I've actually never looked at my own stuff under those states of consciousness, but I've always been curious because I hear some pretty wild things. So it looks like we are successful in having captured the essence of our image using IP adapter, which again is a digital set of eyeballs that we've bestowed upon our AI assistant through a really advanced algorithm. Although this is nothing but a series of algorithms. Okay, very pretty. I like that a lot. It's like a time lapse. I love the clouds. Look at those clouds. It's really cool. need a haircut. Yeah, this is dope. I like this a lot. The question is, what should I do with it now? Well, I think for one thing, I will interpolate it. Get image. Yeah, actually, I'm going to interpolate it through Topaz. Let's do that. Save. Pop it over. The Chronos, perfect. Okay. Folks, I know I'm kind of in my own little world right now, but if you have any questions at all about my process, let me know. I'll do whatever I can to answer you. And just kind of give you the rundown on AI art, AI video, Comfy UI, why it's so cool, and why you should learn it. Because you can make shit like this. And who doesn't want to make shit like this? Well, let's think this through. How should I proceed? Oh, you like the wildlife page? The critters on demand? Thank you. Yeah, it has laid dormant for the past several months as I've focused on my main page, but I figured it was time to start throwing some stuff back up on there using my new style. Just figured why not, you know? Kind of distinguish it apart from the competition. They're definitely more unique now, I think, so we'll see where it goes. What music do you usually listen to when you do this? Well, I rotate kind of between chill lo-fi beats and like a psychedelic rock. But today I'm doing like a Christmas lo-fi because I mentioned at the start, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, I'm kind of in a Christmassy mood, and I don't know why. Probably because Starbucks brought back the pumpkin spice. Starbucks decides it's holiday time. That means it's holiday time. Let me think this through. Da-da-da. What if we change this to Vigi? The LoRa is all the way up at 1. Oh, we're not even using the right LoRa. That would explain a lot. Let's change that up. And go back to plus. I am curious. Let's see what we get now this time around. 'Tis the season. But yeah, if you're asking about like what kind of music I just like in general off stream, I really like just really psychedelic beats, things that you can drift off to. Very trippy, very cerebral, hypnotic, droning, tribal. Spangle is one of my favorites. Shit like that, you know. Isn't pumpkin spice a Halloween october? It is, but it also basically marks the start of the holiday season as far as I'm concerned. So I put it all in the same bucket in my mind. What if we morph that Christmas landscape into a gruesome zombie? Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Ah, yes. The correct motion LoRa has been initiated. And I'm a lot happier with the results. Let's interpolate it up to 60 for funsies. Let's see what we get. Maybe not save. Okay, I'm gonna search for zombie decay. Hey, Tripathy, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. And hello, Gastron, how are you? If I type gross, just give me something gross, weird. Let's do eyeballs. Ooh, now we're talking. Ooh, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try mashing together this eyeball thing with our Christmas landscape. Let's do that. So first I'm gonna move this all the way over here. We're gonna want a second IP adapter, which I will place right on over here. To want this going through there and then this going through to there. Perfect. And let's take our eyeball, pop it right in. And now what should happen is a perfect fusion of one and the other. Kind of a 50-50 split stylistically. Oh, you're getting comfy set up, are you? That's awesome. Good to hear. Yeah. Big adventure awaits you, my friend. As long as you're willing to commit to it. There's a lot of fun to be had. Daydream asks if I can use your picture as a birthday gift. I would be happy to at least take your suggestion as far as which picture I should throw into the mix here. Hello, Vela. How are you? Liking what I'm seeing here. Ooh. How interesting. That's very interesting. I'm good, Vela, thank you. Sounds good, Daydream. Yeah, I mean... Oh, you want me to use, like, your own personal pictures? Well, maybe. I typically just take, like, recommendations and then I generate stuff on Ideogram or Midjourney, but... maybe I'll make an exception for your birthday. Just within reason. Don't, like, throw me a bunch of images or something. I used it before. I'm getting back into it. I don't know. Watching you over the last week. Yeah, good. I'm super glad that this is inspiring you to get back into it. I know that when I was first starting out with Comfy, I would kind of just give up from time to time because it was just too much to deal with. But I guess I finally reached a point where I just wanted it badly enough, and so I really started learning deeply about the program and watching other people make stuff with it and following them very closely, and because I just really wanted to make what they were making. So I guess when you want something badly enough, you go after it. Okay, where do we want to go from here? And in case it wasn't obvious, folks, this right here is a near perfect combination, as perfect as it can be, of image 1 and image 2. See that? Whereas our old generation is only based on 1 image, but this one's based on 2. Oh, well, thank you for the compliment, Vela. I really appreciate that. A lot of love and care into my work. Make a Vendetta and Scream one together. When you say Vendetta, do you mean like V for Vendetta, the mask character? I know what the Scream mask looks like. Scream mask. That'd be an interesting fusion, actually. So basically these two things right here, that could be kind of interesting. What if I just go and paste these in right from the get-go? Let's try and just animate them as is. Number 1, number 2. Let's see what we get, shall we? Guy Fawkes, yeah, that's the name. That's what I was trying to think of. Thank you for that. I can already tell this is going to be a trip. That guy on YouTube says, hello. Hello, that guy. How are you? Ooh, this is trippy looking. Yeah, the preview is pretty cursed. Ooh. Fascinating. Do you have advice for me as I started sharing Animate Diff stuff this day? Good question. My advice for growing on here is really, I can only speak from experience, so I will say my account was already pretty old before I really started pouring myself into it and like blowing it up. Like before this year, I had like hardly any followers for several years because this is my personal account. But basically back in February of this year is when I really started actually taking it seriously, and I started posting like every single day, multiple times a day, and resharing other people's work, reaching out to other creators, doing collaborations, really just engaging with the app as much as I possibly can. I think the biggest things, and it's hard to like distill it down to what the biggest things are, but I think the biggest things that helped me was just posting every day, posting content that people really want to see, basically. And I guess I somehow tapped into that. I mean, I make stuff that I really like to look at and to make, but and also just through the process of variety, or just making a variety of different things, you'll eventually like hit a soft spot for people, and they'll like basically make you go viral. But you kind of just gotta like spread your, I don't know, creativity around until you find something that resonates with people. What model is this using? It's using Realism by Stable Yogi. It's a really good model that I like a lot. I use it a lot of the time. Realism by Stable Yogi. Let's now mix the Scream masks with another image. We'll mix it with the Winter Wonderland image, because why not? Let's just keep adding them until the computer can't take no more. So we'll do that, and then let's see what we get. Spread them creative juices. Chris Gazarian, you are very welcome. I hope that helps you any bit. I can only speak from experience. This is given like Jester vibes, or even like Rita Repulsa vibes from Power Rangers. I don't know why. I guess like the hat that they're wearing, like the weird horn-like outbursts. I don't know how to describe it. Don't ask me why I think certain things. I just do. It is what it is. It's cool though that we were able to build this out from scratch together, you guys, all on stream. Oh, that's weird, isn't it? How about we play with masks? I'm gonna actually mask some stuff and get something a little more interesting compositionally. Crap, the plot for Christmas Scream. The plot for Christmas Scream, yeah. Has there ever been like a Christmas themed Scream, or have they ever? I don't know. I haven't watched any of the Scream movies. I've only ever seen Scary Movie, which, as you might know, uses the Scream mask in a very comical fashion. So let me make room now for our masking situation. Masks basically tell the program where to paint the detail and where not to paint. It's basically like if you ever used a stencil and you drew inside of a stencil or even painted with stencils. It creates the content inside of it and leaves everything outside of it blank. So it works off of a black and white sort of image, and anything in the white space is colored in, anything in the black space is neglected. And you can get a little more complex with it. You can work with multicolored masks that I think go all the way up to like 5 or 6 different colors, but we're just going to focus on black and white. If I may, what is the first AI art engine or whatnot that I used? Great question. And I think the answer is probably Midjourney, which I still use to this day. I think Midjourney is an amazing image generator, very artistically orientated, or in other words, the results are a lot more human looking than I think the competition. That's less so the case these days than it used to be, because it has some pretty mad competition with Ideogram, and a lot of these programs are catching up to it artistically. But for my money, I think Midjourney still makes the most beautiful overall outputs. It's not the greatest at prompt adherence. Like, it won't follow what you've written in your prompt to a T quite as well as something like Ideogram or even ChatGPT. But yeah, just artistically, you can't go wrong there. And I'm talking up a storm. I'm gonna need some water. I'm gonna make some masks. So I think, what if we make our own mask just for fun? Let's come back to Ideogram. Let's find any old image, really. And I'm going to make just a black and white kind of mask out of it. Let's literally just take this dude right here and pop him into a 512 by 512 in Photoshop. And we're just real quick going to crop him out from his background, remove backgrounds. Going to make his background a solid black, and we're going to make him a solid white. So a perfect two-tone mask. See? Portrait mask is what we'll name it. And we'll bring it back into Comfy. And what we're going to need to do, first we're going to load image, load image. And we're going to need to convert that into a mask because it's currently not in a usable state. Actually, we need to load the actual image. We're going to need to convert this into a mask. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think it already has mask capabilities. Let me see. Image to mask. Yeah, you know, I think we're just going to use... Although I would like to tap into the inverse mask, which is the black region. Which currently, I don't think... Maybe the advanced IP adapter will. IP adapter advanced. Image negative. You know what I can do? I can just use invert mask node, I think. Let's see, mask invert. Yeah, there we go. Mask invert. Beautiful. All right, so this node will allow us to extract the black region right here. Otherwise, we're just going to plug the white region into our first image. It has an attention mask input. Going to make it focus in on the white region, and then for the second will be the black region, which we have derived by using an invert node. that will be plugged into image number 2. Actually, this will be an image number 2. Let's take out the third IP adapter. We just want 2 for now. Perfect. So what should in essence happen is that this should be the foreground right here, and then this should be our background. Let's put that to the test. Even though it's just a mask, and the mask, well, it's literally a mask, so getting my words mixed up here. Let's change up the image so we're not totally confused. I'll just put this weird Salvador Dali demon here. And let's let it rip. Let's see what we get. Can I use an animated mask? Yes, absolutely. Great question. You can use animated masks. It would be better in that case to use a control net, because a control net would more accurately capture the edges and the contours of the mask with which to paint over, and you can kind of think as your images as your paint. Like, this is your paint in your paint bucket, and the mask is your canvas, and you paint along the edges and contours of that canvas. But yeah, as far as an animated mask, a control net is going to do a better job at handling that data. But I'm not using that today. I'm just using a rudimentary mask. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate you. I do try. Okay, so this is already looking like it's not going to be quite right. It looks like it's just giving us the winter wonderland. But that's okay. We'll figure out why. Yeah, so we just have our winter space here. Let's examine why that might be. So we've loaded our image in. We've derived a mask from it because there's a mask output right here that we've plugged into here. A tension mask. Maybe it needs to be resized? No, it's the right resolution. Tension mask, tension mask. Did I go wrong? Let's see. Mask to image. So we should have a negative and a positive. Oh, interesting. Let me think about this. So let's try the convert mask to image. Huh. Let's try this. Oh, it's not quite capturing what I needed to capture. That's unfortunate. I did this just the other day. How did I figure this out? Maybe it's the type of IP adapter I'm using? Bear with me, folks. So I can... Okay, I can turn that into a mask. So let's turn all of this off for right now. Only focus on the mask creation. And if we do that... Convert mask to image. It only gives us a black square. That is interesting. Convert mask to image. We're using that. Color me stumped. What? Let me check a previous workflow that I did get this working on, just for reference. Maybe a color grade and do an invert with that. Oh yeah, does the image have alpha? It does have alpha channel, and that might be an option. So like, what are my mask options? Convert. Mask to image. Well, let me just, to save time, let me look at one of my previous workflows. So, I have many previous workflows. BWI, is this? No, that's not right. It's not, it's a JPEG. Here, okay, I think this has a mask that I can examine. Although it's a multicolored mask. Mask from RGB. Well, mask from... Okay, so that goes in there. Upscale image. I see. Okay, upscale image, and then image into a mask conversion. And then those go into... Okay, IP adapter advanced might be the node that I should be using. Let's change up the actual type of IP adapter. So we are going to replace these two nodes with the advanced variant, which adds a little extra functionality. It might be enough to resolve the issue though. So plug that there, plug that there, there, and then there. Is it using the image negative input? Are we using this? Yes, but no, we're actually not tapping into that. That's okay. Okay, so I can't quite imagine why this would resolve it, but it's very possible that it will. Let's try it out anyway. Attention mask. Okay, and then that to there. Should be good. Let's see what we get now. No, that's not going to work either. Let's, I'm determined to figure this out now, folks. At the expense of your entertainment value, I suppose. Or maybe this is the entertainment for you. Figuring it out together. So we're inverting the mask at one stage, but it doesn't even look like it's capturing the elements of our image and converting it into a mask, which is a little troubling. What is the reason for this? Well, maybe if we... Wish I remembered which workflow specifically was just doing a black and white. Oh well. I don't know, maybe we should just move on. Pasta lover's night with all them noodles, indeed. This is a stream for Italians only. Sorry, folks. So we're doing an upscale on it first. Maybe that plays a role? I don't think so, but if we plug that into here, it shouldn't really affect things, should it? Width and height. Okay, let's convert the width and height to inputs. Convert height. Oh, that's wrong. Okay. This is not going anywhere at all, is it, you guys? This should be working. I don't know why it's ignoring my attention mask. Now, if I just do, if I created a shape mask with a node, there's a create shape mask node. So instead of using this image that we made together, we can instead just generate a mask using a node, a basic one, like a circle, for example. We'll do a circle, 256 all around. Center that right on in. Let's preview it as well. Mask to image, preview. Let's see what that ends up looking like. Let's turn everything off except the mask. Q prompt, and perfect. Okay, so it's making the circular mask for us here. So we have a usable mask, it seems. Let's now start plugging this into our, back into our, I think maybe it was the image that we made that was the issue. I think we're about to be proven right on that. So let's plug that in there. We have the inversion of it, which again refers to the black region. Plug that into the second attention mask, and let's see what we get now. And I have a feeling, curious feeling, that this will work. Which then the question arises, why is this mask relevant and the others are not? Take one channel from your B&W. Yeah, I think I need to like extract the right channel from it. Like the right alpha channel. Yeah, you see, this is actually beginning to work. It's probably going to look pretty cool. But, yeah, let's see about... So if I, again, load back my image... So we've made some progress. We have figured out how to at least mask our images. just still a mystery as to why this cannot be converted into a mask. Let's take a look. Portrait mask. So I think, yeah, I need to get like the channels from it, don't I? What if I even just use well, I'm doing too many things at once. Let's first see the result of our video. Perfect. Pretty cool. It's a winter cabin with a trippy face. Can you tell us where to get a safe link to install Comfy? Absolutely, yeah. Safest place to really download it from. If you just Google Comfy UI download, or even search for it directly on GitHub, you should find its GitHub link. Just find the main page for it on GitHub. In fact, if you want to even start from GitHub, I'll do it with you. Go to the GitHub homepage, click up in the search, and search for Comfy UI, all one word. Click enter, and it should be the first one. Yeah, it looks to be the case. And as you can see, we're on the Comfy UI repository. You then want to go over to the releases side, click this blue link down here, it says +12 releases. Just click on into the releases page, and then you'll see at the very top the latest release of Comfy, which at this point is 0.1.3, I guess. And then come down to the assets menu right here, expand it right here, and go ahead and download this file, Comfy UI Windows Portable NVIDIA.7z. And that'll basically give you a portable deployment of Comfy, extract it anywhere onto your desktop or computer. And then once you're finally in that folder, it'll basically give you a folder that looks like this. These files should look very similar. From here, you'll want to click run NVIDIA GPU.bat, and that will basically start it up for you. And that's like a really rudimentary getting started guide on Comfy. Now let's figure this mask situation out, because I am extremely curious why it's not working. Channel, what happens if I do channel? Image extract channel, perhaps? RGBA, well, there's an alpha option here. Channel data. Can I convert this channel data then into a mask? I don't even know. I feel like it wasn't this complicated back when I did this a few days ago. What did I do differently? Well, I think at the time I was just using the create shape mask node, which produces a usable mask for us right out the box. But I'm like super duper curious. Let me ask Claude real quick. So Comfy UI expert. Let me even do it one better and screenshot it. This will probably be good. Just image or image to mask. Convert image to mask. Okay, so I'm gonna basically show Claude what's going on. Let's turn all of the other nodes off. So we're only focusing on this flow right here. Oh, and in fact, take a look. So we've converted the image to mask, then we've converted it back to an image. But what this seems to indicate is it's now in a usable state as a mask. That triggers me to want to try it out from this. Oh, look at this, convert image to mask, and it's based on channel. How did I not have that option previously? Convert image to mask. Oh, maybe it was because I was using the default mask output as opposed to actually converting it to a proper mask. I think that's what was going on. I'm going to go off of yes. I'm going to use that as my premise. So let's actually plug this back into our IP adapters. Right there. We're also going to want to grab the invert mask. And that will be for image number 2. And now let's see if we have any better luck. Oh, are you named Bennett as well? Hello, fellow Bennett. Error occurred when executing image to mask. Found for dimension with size 3. It looks like it's a dimensions issue. It's getting caught up here. Why would that Is it the alpha channel that's complaining? I think it is. What if I change it back to red? So red? Okay, so red works. Let's try red. Even though there is no red to be found here, maybe it'll still do what we need it to. Hey, it looks like we might have some level of success here finally. So I guess we grabbed the red channel from this, even though there is none, but it was enough data for this to still derive a mask from. I don't know why. I don't know why we can't use the alpha channel, because obviously that would be preferred since it's black and white. But hey, in any event, it seems to be working. I still really like this one. But let's see what this one looks like. All right. Pretty cool, honestly. So you trick by using RG or B. Because there's no alpha in JPEG. Oh, interesting observation. Does that mean that if I were to use this as a PNG, that it would be able to grab the alpha? I think that's probably true, right? Because it's looking for transparency or lack thereof. Could that be the reason? Like if this, for example, was like the white layer was just a solid white and the background was a transparency, would it then extract the right channels? I don't know. But in any event, this still seems to be working. So, do you play with PUBG? No. I'm probably more of a Fortnite player than I am PUBG, but I don't think I've actually ever played PUBG. I should try it out sometime. So it's very hard to discern, but more or less the green face should be existing inside of our white silhouette, and I guess to some degree it is. Yeah, it certainly is. But in a very not well-defined way, which is the point after all. We want it to look organic and enmeshed. PNG would have a fourth channel, the alpha channel. Got it. Okay. Well, I just wonder if this is the preferred method in Comfy of turning an image into a mask. A black and white image specifically, because I don't think that it is. But as you can see on this other workflow, we do have this great node here, which grabs all these different color channels from the image input, which is really cool for something like this, which has like 4 or 5 different colors. And then you create like weird shit like this. So you can see how it could really start getting out of hand in a good way. All right. Well, where should I go from here? Use one channel when it's white. Oh, okay. Oh, does that mean then that it wouldn't matter if I choose RG or B? Because the point is there's only one quote-unquote color present, that being white. So like it would theoretically choose white regardless of the channel I choose here. Let me actually test that really quickly. Turn these off and choose green instead of red. Yep, cool. I guess that is true, isn't it? And then alpha, of course, just... Well, if I want to try the alpha one, let me try and export this as a PNG. I'm actually really curious now. So, PNG that with a transparent background. Portrait, mask. Let's give that a shot. Portrait mask. Index 3 is out of bounds for dimension 3 with size 3. Whatever the fuck that means. Well, I've given it a transparent PNG, but it's still complaining. And I can't tell what it's complaining about. But that's okay. Because the size is the same size as the rest of the project. It's like 512 by 512, which is pretty standard for Stable Diffusion 1.5. I wonder what it is about my image that's sucky. Well, let's expand this out a bit. Let's do the color approach now, because the image is no longer that size. You mean dimension-wise? I think it is. It's still 512 by 512. Yeah, it's still 512 by 512. It's pretty much the same as its JPEG friend. The bounds of the alpha. Oh, it's looking at the bounds of the alpha. I think I see what you're saying. Okay, let me turn the background layer back on so that, like, there is no more transparency. And then let's see. That's an interesting observation. So that... No, it still doesn't work. I don't know. But what I do know is that I want to play with this. So let's paste this in. Let's hide these. Whoops. Let's hide these. Okay. Turn these back on. Let's move these way down here. And start with these. Okay. Let's move these down as well. Move this over. And we're going to want a few more IP adapters, because we have 5 channels to work with now. We have red, green, blue, yellow, and black. Gives us a lot more interesting results to play with. But we're going to need 3 more IP adapters. So 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the model chain is going to have to be passed through each one in sequence. So this to this, and this to this, this to this, this to this. And the last one will go right on into the K-sampler. And perfect. We should be good as far as that goes. Now we just have to plug in the mask channels. So we'll do red in the first one. We'll just do it in sequence. First one will be red, and then green's the next one. Blue will be the third. Yellow's the fourth. Black is the final. Now we just need 5 distinctly different images to get something really fun. So let's do so. Reference, photos. We'll just use any old images. We'll use the first 2 as is. The number 3 we'll do like this cool coral image. The 4th will be these purple skulls. And the 5th will go with a green landscape. Beautiful. Let's try it out. What are we missing? Image upscale missing 2 required arguments, width and height. That is correct. Our upscale image requires... That's interesting that it's asking for that. I guess that's the canvas dimension. So let's see. Empty latent. Convert widget to input. No. How did I... Oh, right. Width and height. Got it. Okay, so I put width and height, their own little separate nodes. That means I need to change the empty latent to inputs. Widget. Convert that to... Okay. Okay. So now we have a global width and height, as you can see. So we're going to plug it into our empty latent. We're also going to plug it into this because it's asking for it. The upscale image node. And now we should be good to go. So Q prompt. And we're moving. Looks like it's working beautifully. Ooh, this is going to be crazy looking. Oh, this is going to be dope. I can already tell. y'all are still sticking around for this one. Super addictive like rolling dice. You've nailed it, bud. Yeah, this is like, it's hella addictive to just tinker and experiment, and it's so endless. You really have to watch the clock as you're playing with this, because once you get a handle on it, like I have, you just lose track of time so quickly. Ooh, look at this. Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. This is what it's all about right here. What program do I use? The program is called Comfy UI. I know, right? Whoa, dude. Yeah, that's for sure. This is trippy. Look at like the weird purple mask. Like, why did it even do that? I guess it decided that it saw like a mask quality to that picture, so that's what it brought in. That's so unique. It's like weird. The little like lizard eyes peeking through occasionally. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so silly. It's let's preview out these images after they've been rescaled, because you can tell that they're all like different dimensions. I want a preview of each of the 5 that look like a perfect square, because I'd like to put them underneath the image here so that we get a nice preview of the result of our ingredients, of all 5 images getting mashed into one. So we'll do one there. We'll do this one as well. Preview image and preview image. Actually, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Put those right there. And if we were to do it again, as you can tell now, they're all a perfect usable dimension for our clip vision. And now it'll be easier than ever to see what we're working with. Just a fun visual aid. Put that right there. Put those right there. In fact, maybe vertical would be an even better orientation for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Bring those right on up there. I'm just having fun, guys. Can you move the contents inside of the image? Can you move what? So are you saying, can I rearrange them? Like where the purple stuff is, maybe move that into where the green is and stuff like that? Because the answer to that would be yes. I would just need to plug the masks into different IP adapters versus where they're currently plugged into. For example, like the IP adapter that's handling this purple skull is currently plugged into our yellow mask. And as you can see on our reference, yellow's right here and it's like right here. Say it picked some part you didn't like, you wanted to scoot it over to a part you do like. Yeah, if you want to scoot things over at all, you really have to manipulate this source mask image that we're working with. And that would be easy enough to do if you just kind of pop it into Photoshop and say you want the yellow stuff to, I don't know, live somewhere over here instead. You would manipulate it here, re-export it as, I guess, a JPEG. This is a PNG, but it actually doesn't, I don't think it matters. Actually, does it matter? That raises a good question. Let me try making a JPEG version of this, see if it works the same. I'll call it 5 color. Just because we were on the topic of JPEGs and PNGs, I figure it might be good to answer that question. So let's paste that in. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So yeah, paste that in, have the old one on standby. And yes, it looks like JPEGs are also viable options. You mean after? You mean after the render's complete? Like move elements around that way? Or somewhere between this stage and the final render? Are you saying can it be moved around then? Because my understanding is it would all need to be done like from this stage, the initial stage of the mask. The image preview. You mean preview out the individual different parts before the video is actually rendered out? That can probably be done. you could take this node right here, mask from RGB, and you could, for example, take the red output, convert that into an image, mask to image, convert mask to image, and then you could bring that out into a preview node, and that would preview only the red section, like so. See? It's only grabbing the red section, as denoted by the... It's black and white, but the idea is that this graphs onto the red section of our mask, like, perfectly. Does that make sense? And then we could do the same for, like green, you know? Let's see. See, green, like, would graph onto the green part of it like that. Pretty cool. Where would we go with this? We could, what if we turn this into a video? Like the rainbow eye that we're working with here, kinda? Let's make it into like a perfectly rotating and looping video. So let's bring that into there. Make it a 1-to-1 ratio, I think. Yep. And let's rotate it all the way around in one full rotation, but let's make sure we're working with the same amount of frames as our Comfy project. So let's set it to 24 frames. That's fine. 24 frames. We'll do 2 seconds of 24. No, 30 frames. Getting mixed up here. We'll want 2 seconds of that. Because 12... My math ain't mathin'. Hang on. I think 2 seconds is what we want. So... Because the video is how long? At 12 frames a second? Okay. Let's make it 48 frames. Let's do just a rotation on it. We'll do 359, which is just about a hair before 360, which would be a full rotation. And as you can see, it's making a really cool, eternally looping mask. This will actually be really cool, I think. Let's export that as a video at 24 frames. Not the worst thing ever. Let's do that. Copy its path and plop it into Comfy. But it has to be a load video, not a load image, because now we're working with video. So, but it's otherwise the same, because as you can see, the load video also has an image output, just like our load image does. And so we will just replace this with our new load video, and it will basically do the same thing for us. So plug that in, and everything else should be otherwise the same. And yeah, I think we will get something interesting at this point. Let's force rate 12 and 12. Let's see. What happens if I just queue prompt? I'm trying to do some math in my head, because the video, I would like the video to be 12 frames a second. 12 frames a second. Okay, so I've forced the rate to 12. Maybe that'll do something interesting. Regardless, the result will be interesting, and it will tell us a lot about my mathematical conundrum as I'm looking at it. Was that in Photoshop I did the rotation? No, that was in CapCut. I'm using CapCut, which I think is like a really elegant, well, I don't know if elegant's the word, but just a really efficient and easy to use video editor just to jump into and make some pretty like usable videos for the most part. It can carry a lot of the load that other more expensive programs can, like a Premiere Pro, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve. I find myself using CapCut more than almost any other video editor these days, because it's very mature for what it is. Like, it wasn't always this capable, but and it's also on mobile. It's very easy to use on your phone as well. So it's just a great all-around program. Ooh, okay, this is interesting. I don't know if I love it. Let's, okay, if we make this 24, and then frames total will be 48. That's basically the same thing. Oh, we want to fix our seeds so we don't have to wait each time for it to repeat. Okay. Well, this is kind of cool, I guess. Yeah, After Effects is totally a RAM hog. That's a good way to put it. It's powerful. I still use After Effects for a number of different things. But, guess this is fine. So I've also, like, rescaled it, resized it. That's fine, I guess. Oh, I might want to bump up the threshold. I think the threshold on this node will basically tell Comfy to further emphasize the boundaries of our mask regions, which I would like to do, I think. We're getting kind of deep with this, folks, but it's a good learning experience for me and hopefully for you. Ooh, interesting. So look how it like stops at the end. It like runs through its normal rotation, but then it stops, and I'm going to decrypt the reason for this. So the frame rate, the frame count of this is a total of 48 frames, I think, because I've rendered it out at 24 frames a second and it's 2 seconds long. So that should be 48 frames, but that's also the frame count that I've denoted up here. What if I just convert this widget to an input so that it receives its frame count from a different location? Let's feed it the actual frame count of our input video. Maybe that will resolve matters further. Oh, I've also forced the rate. Okay, I think maybe I'll just leave the frame rate as is. Now we'll give it a shot. Been using DaVinci for fast. Nice. I'd like to get better at DaVinci, actually. It seems like an amazing program the few times that I've used it. It just seems like it's very intelligent at certain tasks. But for now, CapCut pretty much services most of my needs, if not, well, I guess all of them, because if it didn't, I'd be using something else. But yeah, I get a lot more out of CapCut than I ever thought I would. I didn't always have like the greatest opinion of CapCut, but then I started using it and realizing that, wait, it actually pretty much does everything I need it to do. So, and it's kind of fun to use compared to other programs. Not as intimidating, in my opinion. So this should hopefully have a fully rotating like motion the entire way through instead of how it's just like stopping short here. And yay, I am correct. That is fucking sick, you guys. Isn't that cool looking? That is so cool looking. And so much like potential here to like mess with, you know, like this could go in so many different directions now that we've like established a basic workflow to achieve that look. Like obviously we could switch out any of these 5 images with other things, and that would be swell. I think that I will. I think that, oh, you know what would help even further as a visual aid is to put previews of our mask regions beneath each respective image, kind of like what we did right over here where a few minutes ago where I was showing you the green region and like the red region. We should place those previews underneath our image inputs so that we have an idea of where they're going to be placed ultimately. I think that would be a very good idea. Although with this moving one, it's going to be a little less clear because there's multiple frames. Yeah, it won't make as much sense then, I think. Well, that's okay. So if we were using like a static mask that wasn't moving like it is now, my prescription would make more sense. But I think we're just going to leave it. But let's plug in some other images. Let's have some more fun. Let's go to our references folder, photos. Okay, I have so many weird things to choose from. Let's go with this weird alien. And let's plug in some lava for the number. Oops. Shit. Didn't mean to do that. Where did he go? Here we go. Okay, 1 and 1. Number 2. For the third one, let's do these cool eyeballs. And then number 4 will be, what do I want it to be? King Kong's face, because why not? Actually, no, we'll do Godzilla. We'll do Godzilla. And then number 5 will be just totally random. This abstract floral landscape. Beautiful image. Let's do it. Let's do it. For our negative prompt, let's negatively prompt it. Let's do blurry, ugly. So a negative prompt tells the AI, this is the stuff that I don't want in the final result. If that wasn't clear. But I don't want it to be blurry and I don't want it to be ugly. So that's what we've typed. On some lists without Wilder. I mean, maybe. It's basically just like a bunch of like zombie decay style images, which you can pretty much see on my page already. Like it's just a bunch of like creepy decaying. I mean, maybe that puts me on a list, but it's basically just horror elements. Horror. These are cool. Look at these. This could be fun to animate too. Let's see what we get here. This should be fun. Oh, and look, it's updated our surrounding previews so we can see what 5 ingredients went into the mixture once it finishes. It's like a blender of just nonsense. Could be great artwork for bands. Yeah, concert backdrops. Absolutely. Ooh. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting. Right? It's weird. Weird as can be. Do you ever get a lot of light flickering when using prompts? I don't know about using prompts too heavily, but light flickering, yes. I do struggle with that in Comfy. It's even kind of flickering right now a little more than I would prefer in this final result. That's always something I'm kind of wrestling with. I find that bringing the frame rate down, though, does help space it out a little more, so it's not as epileptic, so to speak. But the flickering is something that I do try and mitigate. Sometimes I'll like explicitly prompt, like I'll try it, like flickering lights. I find that this doesn't really work, even when I try prompting against it, but it's worth a shot. Let's though increase the threshold on our mask. I'm curious if we bring that up to like 0.5. I really want to see if this will like fortify the boundaries of our mask even harder. Because this is cool, but I want it to be even more adherent to our mask. Sorry guys, I was preoccupied. My content is trippy. Thank you very much. That would be my hope. Alright, it looks more or less the same. I'm not sure what those threshold values are, but it is what it is. I'll bring them back down to 18. Still really cool though, you guys. Pretty cool shit. Benjamin Matchern on YouTube. I'm sorry, I just saw your comment. I gotta remember to check comments on all platforms. I normally just check Instagram, but I don't mean to neglect you. If you're still here, let me try and answer you. I thought washing your YouTube would make you bigger than on my phone, but it keeps it vertical. Yeah, no, sorry about that. I would prefer... Oh, you can't find me. Oh, you were... So you were in the Instagram live, I think. Yeah, no, my Instagram page is just Bennett Waysburn. But yeah, as far as like vertical versus landscape, I wish I could do both orientations at once. So far, I haven't figured out a way to do that in OBS. There might be a way. If there is, then please somebody let me know. But I usually have to choose between portrait and landscape before starting the stream. And since I'm mainly kind of targeting Instagram for my streams right now, I just keep it in portrait. But maybe I'll figure it out soon. A better solution. I am also streaming over on Twitch as well right now. So it's YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. But they're all portrait mode right now. Hang on one sec, folks. Hey bro, I just started with Comfy UI because of you. Oh, that's awesome to hear. Bakayoru. Terrible at pronouncing some of these names. Got any tips for the prompting and the conditioning? Well, as far as just like prompting images and stuff and the quality thereof, it's going to depend not just on your prompts. It's definitely going to depend more, I think, on the model that you're using. Probably more than anything, the model that you're using is the big one. I would recommend learning how to use Flux, looking into Flux, which is like the new open source alternative to Stable Diffusion. In many ways, some people regard it as the evolution of Stable Diffusion because it's just so advanced in its outputs. It's very beautiful. Pretty much on the level of like Midjourney in many ways. Maybe not every way, but definitely look up like a Flux tutorial on YouTube, like how to get started with Flux, how to install Flux. And right at the gate, you're going to get some beautiful images. Even without like knowing how to prompt it that well, it'll make you some beautiful stuff. Just with like basic stuff, like if you were to type just like a beautiful apple, like even this would produce something beautiful on Flux. So prompting is going to become like less and less important over time as far as producing beautiful stuff. And Flux is a perfect example of that. So definitely look into that. Hang on one second. I'll respond to a text message. Sweet. So would Flux be better than Comfy UI if I want to get... No, actually, that's a great question. Flux is actually... Oops, I minimized everything. Flux is actually used inside of Comfy UI. It's essentially, once it's installed, you just choose it from your checkpoint dropdown right here. Like in this list of models, checkpoint models, it would be one of the models that you select. It's actually a slightly different setup, though. I don't even think I don't remember if you use this node for it. It uses a different series of nodes. That's why I say to like look up a installation guide on YouTube, because it has a slightly different workflow, but it does run inside of Comfy UI. So that much is good. With some basic differences. Let's see, what should we do now? Should we control net stuff? Let's do like control nets. Let's apply some control nets, apply advanced control net. So the control net is basically an advanced way to capture the edges and contours of your mask, like this here, for example. It uses different algorithms to capture the contours depending on what you want to do. For example, if you want to capture a dancer, the movement of a dancer with like the limb movements and stuff, control nets really come in handy at using various models to capture that. Like Open Pose is an example of a model that will be good for dancers. And then if you want to capture something like a depth map from a video where the depth is more important to you, you can use a model for that. Or you can even use one called line art, which literally just captures, it creates like a stenciled line drawing out of your image. And sometimes that's a better use case. So it really gives you a lot of different options as far as how to trace over your input video, which we're going to see in a sec. So let's start with this here. And instead of, as distinct from the IP adapter, which does live on the model chain of command, the ControlNet lives on the clip chain of command, which is the conditioning chain. So it's going to require a positive and a negative input, which we will take right from here. So plug in the positive, plug in the negative, and then from here, we're going to plug it right into K-Sampler. So we're basically intercepting the line of transmission from here on over to K-Sampler. We're just inserting this in between that flow. That's where it's going to live. Hello, Bunny Model. How are you? Can you do animated videos with Flux? Not to my knowledge, although I'm eagerly awaiting that to be the case. I would love to do Flux animations. I mean, you can certainly like generate images with Flux and then toss them into a workflow like this one. Like nothing is stopping you from doing that. But as far as like Animate Diff, the model that creates the actual animations, to my knowledge, there's no like Flux variation of it as of yet, or Flux enhanced if you want to say that. But yeah, again, like I said, you can basically start by making images in Flux and then just passing them into this workflow here, which is based on Stable Diffusion. Holy, what do we have going on? Quite a lot, Juan. Quite a lot. What node am I using to animate the images? The main stack of nodes that are responsible for the animations is this stack right here, and it's called Animate Diff. It's short for Animate Diffusion, and it's a way that developers have expanded the functionality of Stable Diffusion to take it from just a static image generator into an animation tool. And this stack of nodes is chiefly responsible for doing that, for generating multiple images and then intelligently, I guess, analyzing those images and placing them in sequence to where it looks like a coherent animation in a way that I don't even understand, but that's the algorithm for you. And it's a whole lot of fun. So let's get back to our ControlNet. It's going to need a model. Let's load that in right here. And we'll just use, I think, the depth model for now, which is my go-to for depth map. And it's going to need an input. Let's do a load video for the input. And should we resize it? No, we're not going to resize it. Let's just plug that in there. And let's find a good video to play with in my references folder. As you can see, there are many to choose from. Let's play with the wavy guy, the wavy boy. This one right here. So, and also we're going to, are we going to use the frame count from here? No, we're not. We're going to use the frame count of, actually, yes, we will use the frame count here as our global transmission of that information. So the empty latent will need to know how many frames, so we're plugging that in there. Well, you better show us some Flux soon. Yeah, maybe I'll use Flux one of these days on stream. I myself am still like trying to get better acclimated to Flux, so I'm not like as knowledgeable on it as I am with this stuff, but eventually I'll start prioritizing that. So let's see, how many frames is this in total? 24 frames long, 11 seconds. Ugh, that's much too many. So I think I have a shorter version of this somewhere. I don't know where it would be. I want a much shorter video though, so let's go with this. 4 seconds long at 30 FPS. It's about 120 frames. Kind of the upper limit of where I want it to be, but 120 frames is doable. Hello, Mayet. How's it going? So this will be great because, as you can tell, it's already kind of a depth map in and of itself. So deriving a depth map from this will be pretty straightforward. And let's see, I guess it's gonna like use this data, and so it's gonna take 2 videos as its input basically, which is not typical. I don't typically do that, but let's see what happens. I'm just curious. Let's qprompt, because that's the fun about Comfy. You can just break things apart, see what happens. This is cool. This is how you do your videos. Yeah, this is how I pretty much make all my videos. So I've queued the prompt, and we're now basically attempting to make this again with all the existing settings, but with the new addition of our ControlNet input, which essentially traces over this with a depth map and tries to paint over the contours. So we're doing that plus our existing approach of this rotating mask. I am very curious what the results will be. This will be kind of insane to look at. We're basically combining 2 different videos as our input, which I don't think I've actually ever really done. So this should be fascinating. Oh, with the IPIV morph workflow, simple math node not working. What kind of an error are you getting? What about the math node is not working for you? Because the math nodes should be pretty functional on their own. I feel like it'll depend on the error that you're getting. You're probably getting an error related to like the ControlNet or the model used. I don't think I've ever received an error specifically about the math, unless it's related to the dimensions that are being used. But and don't like paste the error message all the way in chat if you don't mind. Usually it's that first or second line that captures the essence of your error. But if you could just, I don't know, I don't want to like spend too much time troubleshooting it here, but I would point you towards looking into to see if all the models are installed correctly. Luckily with the IPIV workflow, the documentation's pretty good in there. Throughout the workflow, it'll say like install this, and here's the link to download this. Here, make sure you've gone down all of those different text boxes and installed everything that it's asking you to install. Error on terminal. Okay, yeah, I mean you can paste it here. Just don't paste like the whole. Usually those errors are pretty long, so I don't want it to be like a huge message in chat. But if you have like 1 or 2 sentences from the error, I might be able to help you. And I can already tell, guys, that this generation is going to be too heavy on the ControlNet. And I can already see why. The strength is set to 1, which is basically the upper limit. So we're going to tone that down in a second. Ooh. Excited to see what this looks like. Ooh, fascinating. So I can see that it's definitely working. Clearly it's like, so yeah, this thing is like bleeding through like way too dominantly. As you can see, it's basically 1-to-1 with the addition of some colors, which is cool, but we want to dial it down because we want our images to still kind of shine through, and clearly they're not. But we can tell by the movement of the actual colors themselves that it's still trying to follow the pattern of our mask, which is promising. But what we're going to have to do is bring the strength of this bubbly thing way down. And I think we'll bring it down to 0.3. I think 0.3 will be a nice compromise. So let's run that again. Return type mismatch between link nodes. Return type mismatch between link nodes. Huh. That's... I don't immediately know what that error would be. It looks like it's saying integer is not equal to integer. Float return type mismatch between link nodes. So shoot, I don't know. I'm afraid I can't really decipher that. I am sorry. But I think the best advice I could give to you is just to make sure every single model and node and custom node. Make sure all the custom nodes that are required in that workflow are installed. And that's pretty easy to tell just by the presence of any red nodes. But also make sure all the IP adapter models, every single model is installed. Oh, it's coming after updating Comfy. Was it not there before updating Comfy? Because if so, it's possible that the update broke the workflow. I'm very cautious around updating these days because I've run into shit like that like a few times where old workflows wouldn't work anymore. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of, I'd have to look at it in person or on your screen, but I'm afraid I don't have an answer right now. Oh, before the update, everything was fine. That is kind of concerning. Maybe try rolling back to an older version of Comfy if you can, or just like download an older version and try and run it again from there. So like it looks like the latest is 0.1.3 here on the releases page. Try the older 0.1.2 version. So do assets and then download this here again. I would recommend you just roll back because I'm not too... If an update broke it for you, I wouldn't really know how to fix that because I've had that issue too. So what is setting the control net strength do? That's a great question. The best way to answer it is going to be just to show you the result in a second here of our before and after, and then I'll kind of explain what's going on from there. But well, I'll answer it in just a second because it's finished. So as a visual aid, hopefully I'll be able to demystify it. Sick. Yeah, that looks sick as hell. Okay, so what's basically going on here after having lowered that strength value, and by the way, the strength here is anywhere from 0 to 1.0. Anything beyond 1 is basically 100%. Like anything beyond 1 will not read. But yeah, it's a spectrum of 0 to 1, and the further it is to 1, the more that this will bleed through as far as... So yeah, the one on the left is our before. This was set to a full 1 strength, and the one on the right is 0.3. And by setting it down to 0.3, we have allowed the AI to hallucinate other details such as our image inputs and make it just more interesting compositionally and stylistically. But when you crank it all the way up to a full 1, I mean, I think the results kind of speak for themselves, hopefully. But a full strength of 1 just brings the video through almost in a one-to-one fashion. And the further down to 0 that you bring it, the less influence it will have on your generation. But that's where the magic really happens, is down like around 0.3 to 0.5. That's when the AI can really dream up and hallucinate its own like special motions. And you can tell it's still like vaguely following the overall motion and trajectory of our input video, but it still has enough room to play and dream up its own detail. So that's where the fun really takes place. The creative process is playing with the weights, playing with the strengths, seeing yeah, what you can produce along that spectrum. And if I were to bring this all the way down to 0, pretty self-explanatory, but like the essence of this video would be like pretty much completely lost, and we would be just back to where we were here before we even introduced the control net to begin with. Microdosing the AI, yeah. Or microdoing. I think you mean microdosing. Drip feeding it into submission. Exactly, though. I mean, we're basically just bending the AI to our whims to give us different outputs. That's what's so fun about Comfy UI. You can get really granular with the settings and the levers, and just, yeah, it's endless amounts of entertainment. Yeah, so this is pretty dope. It's not a whole lot, it's not that different from like where we were before. And so maybe I'll crank this back up to like 0.5. Let's do 0.5. Because it's almost too similar to how it was before we added control net. So I want to see what that'll do. And then we'll move on to something else. And a lot is going on here, by the way. We're using IP adapters, control nets. We have really expanded the functionality of this workflow, and we're even masking things as well. So we're really tapping into most of the core features of Comfy right out the gate. RTX 3050, only run KSAMP one time. It takes 30 minutes to try to stream. Well, 3050 is already pretty good in my opinion for most things. Like that's definitely on the upper end of what you would need to run this. I'm on a 4090. Why am I forgetting? I usually remember. I think it's a 4090, right? System information. Without giving too much away. Well, it doesn't matter. But let's see. What am I? I'm pretty sure it's a 4090. Does it usually say? Whatever. It's a 4090. I'll just go on a limb and say it. But 30 minutes if you try to experiment. Well, are you saying that each of your renders takes 30 minutes each? Because you can iterate and experiment at a much quicker pace than having to wait 30 minutes between each video. And granted, I know your card doesn't have as much VRAM as mine, but even still, like if you you can make compromises before the upscaling process. Like yeah, I don't know. It shouldn't take that long to iterate. Do you know Hindi language? No, I don't know any Hindi. Sorry, I only know English. This one is still really cool. I kind of wish I had saved that workflow, but I didn't. That's okay though. This is kind of taking a while though, each of these renders. And I guess the reason is because the frame count is a little high. How many frames am I rendering? 4 seconds at 30 FPS. Okay, so each one is basically 120 frames, which is probably too many for the purpose of our stream today, but let me dial it back after this. Cool. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere really interesting. So as you can see, this is with a strength of 0.5 for our control net, which is a really nice balance between this and this. I think that's a pretty nice compromise. Yeah, you experiment with 10 frames and then you go to the full length. That's a good idea. That's definitely one of the ways to quickly iterate on things. And at a pretty small resolution too. Probably around 320 by 320 is a good place to start. Or even 444. Right now though, I think I'm doing 512. Yes, I'm doing 512. Anywho. Gonna park it here, folks. I think we've gone long enough today, and I'm getting kind of tired. Hey, HTM, how's it going, bro? Why does the third clip look like it speeds up? Do you mean this one right here? I don't know if it looks like it speeds up. Let me compare it with its source video, its reference video. So I think this is the video that it's kind of basing off of. And this was before we included the control net, I believe, so... So it should be like loosely based off that RGB wheel on the right. But you can kind of see the motion of it is pretty much matched up with the motion on the left. Like the velocity of it and whatnot. This is all gibberish to me, but cool to see the behind the scenes. Yeah, no, I would hope at least that it's fascinating or interesting, even if, you know, it's kind of a lot to keep up with. I still try to make it kind of fun to watch, I guess. Oh, thank you. My job is very beautiful. Yes, it's a very beautiful process. I love making these videos for myself and for clients. It's just a fun line of work. Very fun. Okay, now let's turn off the mask and just see what we get without any mask at all. So we're just going to rely on this for our motion. So key prompt. And let's move these over a bit. Okay. So now I've basically hidden or bypassed our color wheel, and we're just using this as our reference, as well as our 5 images. And let's see what the result is. And then I probably have to log off. In fact, let's lower the resolution. We're waiting too long here. Also, we're gonna. So this option right here, select every nth, means if I were to set this to 2, for example, it would extract every other frame from the video as opposed to every single frame. So by bumping it up to 2, we've basically cut our duration in half because it's taking every other frame instead of every frame. So that will also save us some rendering time. And I've also, let's bring the resolution down to 444. Saves us a few more pixels as well. And I think our rendering time will be a lot quicker now. Am I high? No, I'm not high. Highly educational. Nice. I'm so glad that you learned a lot. Rough idea of how much to charge for a short video for client. Honestly, it's a tough question to answer because it's kind of the answer to that kind of changes over time depending on the needs of the client. Like it's not like a silver bullet sort of answer there. You kind of just got to work with the client and determine your own capabilities and your own going rate. I mean, I don't know how comfortable I am like announcing how much I charge clients on here, but I've actually never been asked that on stream, so it's hard for me to give an answer. Like, I don't like talking about that too much, but I think the best answer is you kind of just have to know your own value and like what you know your own stuff is worth. And it's probably not the best answer, but look at this. This is weird. This is not what I was expecting. I think, oh, I know why it's such a muddy mess, because it's mashing all 5 of these images into one. Let's just do 2. Let's mash together these 2. Let's just stick with 2. Okay, that'll be a lot cleaner to look at. Software name is called Comfy UI. As you can see at the top of your screen right now, it should say Comfy UI. Which country am I in? United States. Oh, well, thank you, HTM. That's awesome of you to say that. I appreciate you. Okay, this should be pretty interesting, I think. So you got this. Let's see how this looks. Okay. A little more coherent, I guess. It's not like amazing, but what are you gonna do? All right, guys. I'm going to park it here. Thank you so much for your time and for stopping in and choosing to spend your day with me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you all, and I'll catch you next time, all right?